into these poor laning matchups, and in spite of everything, it was more on Anarchy not getting any pressure down onto Coco than Ambition creating the pressure. As you mentioned, Ambition awkwardly a little bit more of a hindrance than really a helper towards Coco getting it together. So gets another shot. Will he be able to cement a position in this team, or will we just see the Ambition trick revolving door until the gauntlet starts?
Big questions coming up, and CJ obviously using Ambition here, perhaps because it is a weaker Anarchy lineup while they try and groom Trick, but have to like Trick when he can get a win over SKT, gotta say. So Zed going to be the first ban, was banned on the red side by CJ in the last game, is almost always banned against Mickey.
Games like the last game really make me sad about the shift in meta, Monte Cristo. You know, I definitely like an Anarchy on other days to really turn from another game, you know, to get in there, everyone get in here kind of team. They're very good at playing around Mickey. They're really good at committing. You know,
they're the grim patrons of League of Legends right there. Just everybody piling into the mid lane.
Yep, and that deck's pretty strong in Hearthstone. And at the start of the season against teams like Najin, they were able to blow away opposition. But is the meta in a place like that when you have Mickey playing a champion like Victor, who that's just not what he does?
Well, he does play the TF, though, and that is going to be banned this time on the blue side by CJ.
What else does he play, Monte Cristo? I got one more ban left.
I got the Ahri. Just take out the Ahri. Just get it out of there.
Everyone get out of there when it comes to Mickey's picks.
Yeah, CJ. They could ban the Ezreal, too, but frankly, Mickey's Runeglaive Ezreal. Yasuo. Okay, so they want to pick Runeglaive Ez again, is what this says to me. Because we know that Anarchy, when they see an early Ezreal, when they played SK Telecom, they responded with a Yasuo. Mickey very confident in his abilities, has a million games played on Yasuo and solo queue. So this says to me, hey, we want that Ezreal one more time.
Speaking of one more time, finally Madlife gets the respect ban onto Braum. Awkwardly, as you mentioned, it leaves Ezreal open. The question is, do CJ feel pressured to first pick it? Because Mickey, he played the AB Ezreal, he's a skilled player. You could see that being a pick for him, but it's, again, not one of the champions that gets in there. It's not a champion that Anarchy can really play against or necessarily show any aptitude in playing with.
That's true. And I think the Kog'Maw is better because guess what's open this game? Azir. And Mickey, not an Azir player, so you'd have to think that maybe they're just going to give the Runeglaive Ez to Anarchy and play better around it. We know that Coco and Azir can really do a lot in the mid lane against that low wave clear and poke him out early. So Kog seems to make more sense. They're going to get one or the other.
It does feel like CJ have taken on, you know, an image much like SKT in the past, where they have a soul carry in the mid lane that really draws a lot of pressure. He's the person you need to shut down, and that usually opens up space, awkwardly space for space to carry, or space to do damage, or to pick up a high damage champion like Kog'Maw and skip past the relative lack of backline threat in the current meta. So happy to just go with the Kog'Maw. I believe they're 100% win rate or near that with the Kog'Maw. It's just been a power pick across the meta, and when you're drawing bans to other roles like support, it opens it up as a first pick.
Yeah, when the Kalista and the Ryze are still necessary bans here on the red side, according to most Korean teams. Echo, the early pick for Lyra. Bit interesting. We've seen Lyra do some more damage-oriented builds like Runeglaive Echo into full tank for some earlier pressure in the mid game.
Does suggest the likes of a Maokai in top lane. Of course, if you have any semblance of targeted CC, suddenly the parallel convergence just becomes one of the strongest ganking tools in the game. So smart to pick up the Shen in this situation. They could have gone for the Maokai to deny any backline threat onto the Kog'Maw, but of course the Shen shield will do similar work in countering that in team fights. And you don't feel like there's a lot of kill pressure onto a Shen with the magic resist per level, just with how Shy has been playing. Even though you have excellent gank pressure, taking down a Shen, never a guarantee.
No, it is not. And will it actually be a Rumble? That would be a bit of a surprise. That would cut down on a lot of possible gank pressure here.
Okay, Jinx is locked in.
So Rumble and Jinx going for a lot of AoE to set up the Jinx so far. I wonder how they are going to round this out. Victor would obviously be very good here. Have a lot of zone control with parallel convergence in the gravity field.
CJ have been kiting back so expertly that Anarchy have at least for once put out the gauntlet and said, all right, now we're going to have a really high damage backline that you need to respect. How will CJ deal with that? We're seeing the mousing over of very similar portraits actually between the Bard and the Blitzcrank.
Circle eyes. Glowing circle eyes.
Do you just battle in terms of backline hyper carry threats, or do you go for some engage? With Alistar up, and this is Mad Life we're talking about, that could loom as the pick for support.
I think Alistar definitely the best here, has more flexibility in terms of both engage and disengage, which they might need if they go for an Ezreal and a Kog'Maw together in the backside. In addition to that Shen shield, so that would be very powerful engage. Alistar combo straight into a Shen taunt, and that's what it's going to be. So Runeglaive Ezreal once again for CJ Entis. Now, is Victor going to be the answer?
I don't think Victor is the answer, but they're going to mouse over and they consider their options.
I don't think Victor is the answer for Anarchy. Do they go for the Ahri here, try and land the charm? And that's what they're going to do. Ahri is not banned. Ahri is locked in for Anarchy. So returning to a comfort pick when the match is on the line.
Suddenly a lot of magic damage on the side, but the only physical damage dealer puts out a lot of damn damage, and that's Jinx. So this is actually a pretty decent comp coming through now. My only worry, not a lot of options when it comes to ganks for this Jungle Echo, and Jungle Echoes have really struggled to get going in Champions.
And even if Lyra builds damage, it's just the lockdown may not be there unless that charm lands. That's about, or a hook, that's about what he's got going for them, but those are not so reliable for actually landing a parallel convergence because your target is moving in both of those abilities, so not a lockdown to really easily get that. CJ has some just comfort picks across the board. You have the Rek'Sai. Coco did very well in the Runeglaive Ezreal, held his own in the mid lane, and space on Kog'Maw, Mad Life on Alistar, Shy on Shen. About as standard as it could be right now for CJ. Sad we didn't get to see the Azir today, honestly. Would have liked to have seen. I always like to see Coco play that Azir.
You worry that if the hyper carries get going again, Monte Cristo, especially if Lyra builds some damage, no tankiness to speak of at all on this Rebels Anarchy lineup. And the deletion from that True Shot Barrage was close. There was 70-80% chunking. Maybe it's 100% chunking this time.
All right, well, we'll see if Coco can reprise his role in Game 1 and carry CJ to a win right now. We're getting the falalas from Kog'Maw.
There's the Sona to really deck the halls completely out.
Christmas in July, you know.
Hey, I'm feeling seasonal, and honestly, there's a lot to celebrate for CJ recently, so don't mind a bit of singing. Consistent trend for them has not to pick up clean wins. They always drop it down. In fact, we saw some sloppy team fighting from them in the previous game. They only managed to pick up a 2-1 win over Spanner. Okay with the asterisk of some subs. It'd mean a lot for them and their momentum as they push towards the finals. If they could pick up a clean 2-0 win, given that they've effectively dropped a game by showing up late to the studio today.
Yeah, that penalty point is just so huge, and it's going to be really sad if one of these teams actually has a difference in the standings. For those of you who don't know, the playoffs here are not bracketed, which means that SK Telecom is already seeded as the regular season winner, as #1 into the grand final. And for every position you drop down in the top 5 teams, you have to play one more best of 5 to try and make it to the final. So it really does get a lot harder. And by the way, guys, those lead-up best of 5s, all 3 of them, take place in a single week. So you have to win, if you're 4th or 5th, 3 best of 5s to make it to the final in a week. That is so hard to do.
That's effectively 4 best of 5s against teams that have been trading wins all season. These teams are all clumped up because some of them beat each other, but there's no consistent second-place team, especially with Ku really flattering to deceive and slightly falling away in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's definitely true. If you had to kind of point to one, it'd probably be CJ or KT, actually, in the second round robin here. They both have had a bit more success. Now, Shy is going to get slapped around.
It's a blue buff. Interesting.
Yeah, gave him the blue.
I mean, both of them are manaless champions. It allows more Vorpal Blades in the early game. It's theoretically more sustain and harass. Snowfire's doing a great harassment job himself, but can't get too much done.
I am surprised about that blue buff. One wonders if that was possibly accidental, but perhaps Shy will be able to use that cooldown reduction for some nice effect in terms of his sustain and his ability to farm underneath the turret. We'll just recall right now and TP into the top side.
All right, so Anarchy. they're against the same Runglaive Ezreal. They're against a lot of similar factors in terms of the jungle pressure. Okay, it's not the same champion, but Rek'Sai right up there with Gragas in similarity. Can they make the Ahri duo work with Lyra in the jungle on this Echo? That's what they have to. They have to pressure Coco because, I mean, we just blurted out all sorts of statistics about how much damage Coco was able to pull out free farm. This is an assassin. This is a high damage jungler as well. Something needs to change. Something needs to give if Anarchy are going to be able to push this CJ Entus lineup in Game 2.
The problem with this matchup, though, Papa Smithy, is that there isn't honestly much kill pressure pre-6 because Ahri just can't compete with the dash of the Arcane Shift before that ability, before she gets the Spirit Rush, really. And that does make it difficult. Maybe you could surprise Coco with some sort of Flash Charm, but that would basically rely on Coco misplaying and failing to answer that ability with one of his own. And frankly, that just seems unlikely. And then you're in the unenviable position of perhaps being down a Flash for just an Arcane Shift. So tricky, very tricky.
You know, people have been kind of reticent to call Ahri a true assassin after she had her damage numbers changed. They was going to be walking in top line but spotted. But one of the reasons why still a true assassin in this matchup is, of course, hilariously low base stats on Ezreal, given that he's usually an AD carry and in general he has such safety in his abilities. One thing to consider though, Monte Cristo doesn't have the flexibility of taking cleanse, so the kill pressure is still there if that first charm lands.
Right there in the top side, we did see that they're trying to bait him out a little bit. They do have that ward, so Shy was basically just attempting to delay Lyra right there, making himself an attractive flay/hook target.
Lyra actually awkwardly stepped out, even if he didn't have the knowledge that he was in vision the whole time, so just has to walk away with his tail between his legs.
That was a nice mind game there by Shy, feeling very confident in his ability to taunt out of that, but wanting to make sure Lyra could stay in vision for as long as possible. He's still going to be in vision, actually. Nice pink ward from CJ as Coco falls back underneath his turret. Still farming up right now, staying even in that CS. He'll actually be ahead once this wave is finished. So again, Coco really doing a lot. He's not playing a lot of the CS well, does eat a charm, but there's no follow-up just yet.
A lot of harassment onto the turret from Mickey. Remember, it was the support crew of Shy and Madlife in particular that shut down the summoner spells. It was Ghost Flash on Victor last game. This time around, it's the Ignite from Mickey. He's close to level 6. We mentioned you don't have the flexibility of Cleanse when you have to take the summoner spell Smite in order to just really pick up the Runeglaive and match the wave clear. So there is that kill potential, even if it's only the 1 second charm coming through from Ahri.
Yeah, and as for that kill potential, when we reach the late game, we talk about how important it is for Mickey to play one of these backline threats, one of these backline carries. And that is true, but CJ just responds with this Shen. That shuts out so much of Ahri's kill potential in the late game. And I like that they picked it early, and a lot of teams, including SKT, have tried to ban the Shen to shut them down, but unfortunately, when CJ is on blue side, you can't really ban all of the major threats that they have. They chose to ban the Braum, and here we go. Songyun getting low. So he does have a bit of trouble. Madlife, nice hook there from Snowflower, but there's not going to be a whole lot of follow-up. Songyun too low to be trading.
Speaking of trading, we're seeing a lot on the bottom. Space is super low. Will he die? Doesn't quite die to the overheat. I think he will live, but man, these AD carries living on the edge.
They really are, and Space had to flash and use his heal. Space has been caught out a lot in lane in these couple of games. His positioning in the team fights was good in the last one for the most part, despite that split call at Baron, but now getting dangerously close to dying in lane 2 games in a row.
Not sure what to make of these AD carries really pushing it to the edge. I mean, Lyra, if he got hit by a Pricing, I think he would have died. He was on maybe just over 100 health. So Shy's going for that walk. He did that last game, but Madlife and Shy, the ganking duo from CJ Entus.
Yeah, Space here trying to turn this around. Nice damage down onto Ixu. He does have TP up.
Isn't this amusing?
Oh!
I was endlessly amused by Ambition harassing in lane like a support, while the jungle support duo of effectively Shy and Madlife are the ones doing the roaming gank pressure. It's exactly what you talked about, but it's a misallocation of resources. That realistically should be jungle pressure that Ambition hasn't been able to put out, at least in a couple of the recent series we've seen.
Well, and part of that is Space's fault too, right? Because Space is the guy who is getting all-in here nearly successfully in 2 games consecutively, so perhaps not playing with as much caution on the Kog'Maw as would be prudent, or not having the wards at the very least to play cautiously. So that has created some problems in and of itself. So CJ here, you know, they still have these troubles in the early game, and is a possible substitution the answer to that? I don't really know. But things right now, there's early game shakiness when we talk about playing against some teams like KT that are so powerful early.
They're able to opt into these late game scaling comps and not be punished by Anarchy. It's all a moot point. They still will win games against teams like Anarchy, and that's kind of the, I mean, it's not really an issue, but it's a query that we have about CJ is, can they consistently beat the top teams if they're willing to opt into Power Troughs and play Ambition and just not have the support jungle synergy you expect from a top team?
So we were talking last game about the Victor pressure on the mid lane turret. Well, now that Mickey is 6, he feels really comfortable in just very aggressively pushing. We see that mid lane turret is about 50% HP. This is a much better situation for Anarchy playing around the Ezreal in this game. Coco hasn't even had time to go back yet here at 9 minutes because Mickey has really turned on the heat, and he's going to get that tower really, really soon.
It's on Anarchy to make a lot happen in the mid game. They've got the equalizer, always been central to Dragon control in most comps, has been picking up the Rumble. Remember, the big strategic issue, who's stopping the split push in the late game? Because certainly not Rumble, doesn't have an interrupt in the Stand United. If Mickey gets going, if he picks up a couple of kills, maybe he can be the split pushing threat, but even that presents its own kind of bag of worms when it comes to really counterplay for CJ to be able to put out. So Anarchy need to get it going, and they need to get it going soon.
Yeah, well, at least they're getting the turret damage this game, and they're getting it pre-10 minutes. This is the factor that really wasn't there. Now, can they open it up? Can Mickey start to make plays on the side lanes with this Ahri, start to dive some towers if he can open up the mid? We're going to be looking at that in the next few minutes. Finally, though, Coco gets a chance to go back, and that is huge because he gets the Runeglaive and the Trailblazer, which vastly increases his wave clear. But both he and Mickey had very late recalls, but Mickey has been keeping him there. He's been pinning him there, and that is actually very well played by Mickey, understanding that the longer they were both without items, it was much more in his favor.
He was smart using his mana, so just never was forced to go back and was able to chip down the tower to, what, 30% health
really
at
good.
Maximum? Suddenly, though, it becomes very difficult to finish it off. So what I want to see from Lyra, rotate around mid lane, just put in the inherent pressure of 2 or 3 members from Anarchy being in mid, and take that turret just to ensure there's no flashbacks needed to just the free-farmed Coco of last game.
So now, are we going to see the Dragon going through? Nice little scan there. We'll find 2 of CJ's wards. Ambition, Raptor buff popped, but not going to be able to take anything out really with that. Lots of nice wards inside and around the red buff from Anarchy on CJ. So now they're starting to roam as a unit. They really want this mid tower down. Coco has to fall back, just goes for the Wolves right there, uses his smite to get it.
A lot of the little adjustments from the pick and ban phase will pay in the late game. For example, the Hecarim versus Shen at least had the interrupt. Rumble doesn't have it, but of course you don't have the luxury of picking up the Barmy's Cinder. You have to go for the magic resist. So a lot's working for Anarchy, that right now at 11 minutes they have a huge power advantage. They have to turn it into something tangible, whether it's a turret going down, whether it's a Dragon lead. They cannot leave it where it is because it's still the same inevitability about team fights at 35 minutes.
Yeah, and as you're saying about that cowl on the Shen, look at the damage onto the top lane turret. This is, here comes the dive. Parallel Convergent versus Force in the flash. There's a double taunt coming in from Shy. Shy not on top of the equalizer right now. He's dodged a lot of this damage. Overheat from Rumble. Now they can't get any more. Ixu is low. Ixu is not going to take another turret hit, but Shy expertly dodging those abilities. Dive has been failed. Ambition with a really long tunnel. And here we go. Ambition comes on with the Stand United. Nice turnaround kill from CJ.
Yeah, the communication from CJ is so much more on point by
Really
Anarchy.
good.
The question mark for Anarchy, why are they doing this? We see the battle in bot lane. Space is falling low, so Sung-Yoon got the consistent damage, is in the circumference. Sane just Snowfire flashes and gets the kill. Sung-Yoon needs to walk. but stays alive.
Does stay alive. No TP from Shy down into the bottom lane. Didn't have the HP after that gang to really reliably pull it off.
Sungyun had the luxury of staying in minigun form. You can't trade with that damage when you're the more bursty Trinity Force AD carry in Space. So Space falls. We were talking about Space's laning phase issues. Suddenly in the 2v2, he's dying with no other pressure.
Yeah, he's been dying a lot in lane today. Very odd. And will this be the end of the turret? Maybe one more wave here. Mickey really wants it. No, he gets it. Mickey doesn't pay. Mickey does have Ignite. Coco with no mana.
I believe he might have used one charge of the ultimate. Can't tell right now, but not a big factor. Going to be able to back over to base. So objective done by Anarchy in a couple of ways. They get the 2v2 kill that honestly Space has opened himself up to. They take the outer turret. Already an instant improvement despite whatever the gold lead might suggest to you. The slight, of course, slender gold lead from CJ enters.
Yeah, but Anarchy has the pressure onto the top side right now. Even though Ixu died, the tower's still getting low, and we haven't really addressed the Spirit Visage done by Shy. One of the nice things, and why I don't think that running AD champions at top lane is good against Shen is because you have a shorter window to punish his wave clear.
And I see the replay
Space just gets grabbed.
And it's the minigun form. He changes from rocket to minigun, just power down damage on Space.
Great
Nothing you can do. You needed to flash earlier, I think, from Space to open up distance. Finally flashes, but it's far, far too late. You need to force out the rocket launcher because you're cutting the damage of the Jinx pre-crit by a consistent amount.
Lantern in for Lyra, but no follow-up. So Shy has to get, back to the point, Shy has to get the Spirit Visage, can't get the Sunfire Cape. Without Sunfire Cape, he can't push forward. That means that Anarchy is able to play a more aggressive laning phase. So playing those AP champions against Shen, generally the better option.
I don't think he was honestly being pressured enough in lane to finish the Spirit Visage, so you have to think, okay, Barmy's Cinder versus Capri the Spirit Visage. One thing you can say is cooldown reduction, so maybe it's to make plays around the map. Ambition trying his best to make plays, but haven't been there this game.
Well, they know that the Ahri can make it down there really fast right now, so they can't overcommit to some of these ganks, especially with Lyra right there. And there you go, nice steal by Coco onto the Scuttle Crab, getting him a little bit of extra gold in his pocket and some nice vision.
Only slightly behind 10 CS a minute. Of course, once he picks up the Runeglaive with the purple smite, much faster. Their Ambition tussling, and Mickey's going to be there first.
Yeah, Ambition has to back off with that tunnel immediately, wisely. Not trying to contest that. They really can't play on the bottom side of the map right now. As you can see, CJ has to play a very defensive game. Definitely Anarchy doing a much better job of applying pressure and punishing CJ for this team composition than they did in game one.
They keep tossing, Ambition's low. We're looking for the stun. It registers, but crucially gets through.
Just a nice little stun right at the end of the tunnel.
First responding has the ultimate again. Will we see another steal?
Ooh, it hits Snowflower, but doesn't get the low Lyra. And isn't going to get the... Oh, steals the red buff. There you go. Nice little burst. So Lyra had to use his smite, and Mad Life now coming in. There's a Shen ultimate. Mickey's just going to be bounced back and chain CC'd again. What a good Shen ult from Shy. Just fantastic follow-up on that little play.
By far the best volleyball duo on this CJ Enter side. It's Shy and Mad Life again. We keep talking about this. They're the ones making the plays. It was really nice synergy there to just headbutt Mickey from Hope, Mickey from any sort of teammates. And now they get some pressure, and now CJ looking to pick up their first objective of the game.
Well, it was just such smooth crowd control. Mickey didn't have time to Spirit Rush, didn't even have time to flash. You get the pull, you get the headbutt, and then you have this Shen taunting you with sufficient damage to take you out. So pretty difficult execution on something like an Ahri, but they make it work.
The sort of spiking play is what they need from Ambition. That's the thing, is that they need to be getting this. We need to be talking about the jungle support duo, and we just can't do that.
The Ambition has 2 kills this game, but it's not, I mean, it doesn't really,
it's a misnomer.
Yeah, reflect his play all that much.
Anarchy have good early power spikes. Leandri's Torment, buffed on patch 5.13. Happy to poach that early. And okay, Shy has picked up the resist, so he's at least going to be able to deal with the damage in lane, but he's not doing much apart from having cooldown reduction. That's the only thing that finishing the Spirit Visage got him was a little bit more a better laning phase in terms of just being able to stay sustained, but realistically, the 10% CDR, he wants to keep making plays around the map, especially now that he's hit level 11.
Yeah, big moment for him. Can he use this next Stand United to do even more?
He has Stand United and teleport in what, 35, 40 seconds?
It's absolutely ridiculous the way you can play. I mean, he already has the global advantage. Ixu going to be able to take down this tower. Shy decides he's not going to fight it out, just wants to get back. Doesn't have any wards in his own jungle right now, making things a bit dicey. So he chooses the safe path to give up that tower rather than suffer a gank. Not really a problem. He knows that his team is going to be super strong in the late game.
There's a lot of interesting questions about taking out that outer turret as Lyra face checks a cow.
Mickey again has to use the Spirit Rush. Ambition coming through. Nice knock up. Mickey is low. Mickey dies. The follow-up auto actually kills him once he gets over the wall. So Mickey once again, Mad Life is just showing up. Coco low. Coco does have the Shen ult on him, so that's going to turn around. Lyra forced to use the Chrono Break to get back to his turret. Flashing back to safety.
The geometric plays that all this displacement that CJ has pulled off have been just a wonder to watch, and it's caught Mickey out twice now. He's the one that had the pressure on mid. Can't really say the pressure's transitioned to anything when this is what we see all 2 games in a row. 43 CS out of nowhere, exploded through by Ezreal.
And Ambition's, his positioning right there for that play was spot on. He just really caught the, jeez, that damage. He just caught the Ahri at the end of the punt for the chain CC, and that's going to be a turret. In the end, they have total vision control over the bottom side right now. They will be taking this blue buff. Coco getting onto the other side of the wall, and there is the smite and the finisher. So everything going for CJ now. They've broken this game wide open.
Just playing around Runeglaive Ezreal super, super well. Mickey got the turret down, but it hasn't meant anything at all, Monte Cristo. And honestly, this might actually be a faster finish than the previous game, because remember, Anarchy were ahead by 1,000, 2,000 gold last game consistently. The gold gap was never there. It's actually starting to extend right now for CJ Entus.
Yeah, this is not a good situation. Ambition just going to tag Lyra for a moment. Time Winder not really doing much to him. Mickey is now on a space assassination mission, but Mad Life is there. There is a pink ward, hasn't seen him, and we could see this space gonna come through, and he gets taken low, but it's just not enough damage. Mickey can't commit with Mad Life there. He has too much trauma from what Chai did to him earlier. So he will just back off. Nice attempt at a pick. They've got to do something to get back into this game.
I must admit, the moment you said space assassination mission, my head went to different places. I was thinking about some of the great horror films of our time. But,
horror films for space assassination mission? Is that more like an action film?
Sure. Could be a bit of horror there. Jump scares, come on.
Jump scares with the space assassination?
That's what I was looking for. Speaking of getting local, Ixu's caught, gonna back away.
I flashed for that. Got a flash out of Ixu in return.
He's just working his taunt flash mechanics. They're on point. He's nailed it. Coco finding jungle camps everywhere. The CS, I don't know where it comes from, but he certainly knows exactly where to find it.
Where does it come from? I mean, especially because he was losing. We watched him lose a lot of CS to turret. We were looking at that mid lane. We were seeing that Mickey was pushing him up. I was watching Coco not nail the perfect CS, but guess what? He is still very far ahead now, and get a little bit of damage on everybody.
Lyra loses a health potion, maybe like 400 units from base. Mickey actually taunted into turret range, misses the charm as well. Shy doesn't really have any semblance of damage, but he maxes E seconds, so this might be a kill.
Okay then. Well, Equalizer goes down. It's a day late and $1 short underneath that turret. And likewise, Mickey, I guess, getting a little bit surprised by Shy down in that bottom side. He had the Spirit Visage already. There was pretty much zero assassination potential on him. And in spite of the fact that Mickey dies without using Flash again. Mickey hasn't used Flash in a really long time now. Gotta wonder if a little tilt is happening for Mickey, because he could have gotten out of that situation. Instead, he's just a heap of dead tails in the bottom lane.
Coco goes for the all-in play, has the ult again. Speaking of ults, puts it through, misses. Shy's there once again with the taunt, and they pick up the kill.
It's really amazing to me how good Shy is at Shen. He knows the limit so well. He can pick up the kills. He knows how to all in. And he's just always on point across the map with these ultimates to help his teammates out. And he helps his team make picks on Shen. You talk about the timing that it requires for Mad Life to actually get on top of somebody with Alistar and then for Shen to immediately appear. That is some really impressive synergy and coordination play.
Those big anachronisms where, look, not a bad teleport play. Coco's going for a kill assassination mission of himself, not in space, and he's definitely going to die.
Well, Soulflower, that was hilarious.
Was it worth? Probably.
You will pay for that. Extending deep into the enemy base, lands the hook, and as he collapses on the ground, mutters worth.
Look, if it gets a couple of extra viewers to his stream, probably worth.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, yeah, this game has definitely escalated quickly. We're going to see the replay. This was the kill we missed on the top side of the map as Lyra chain CC to death.
Yep, decided to use the Chrono Break. There was the parallel conversions, but ended up dying anyway in spite of the fact that he landed the stun onto the W. And now CJ racking up the kills, racking up the gold lead, and starting to move for the Dragon, although the first Dragon was taken very late in this game, so it's going to be quite a long time before we actually see all of those stacks brought to bear on the enemy.
I think the game's going to be over by then, Monte Cristo.
I think you're right. I think that is probably a good call. CJ will not dawdle, I do not think, when it comes to waiting out those 5th Dragon, although Anarchy going for the Desperation Baron. Nice call. They see space on the bottom side. No reason not to do this. This is a slip up by CJ.
All right, doing damage, but they're not doing that much damage. They haven't hit massive item time, and Shy's going to get there soon. It's down to 4,000 health.
Go Shy, can you be the hero? Here comes the True Shot Barrage. Coco takes out Rumble immediately. Anarchy will get the Baron, but at what cost? Double taunt right there from Shen. Lear gonna pop over the wall, but guess who's waiting in his ambition? Double kill. Chrono Break back into the pit. Coco is there and waiting. Triple kill now for Coco. Mickey, he's gonna try and get away. Spirit Rush will save him from this fight. He's got his flash. He's not going to die. Snowflower is just going to recall and then die to Coco, who gets a delayed Quadra. And Space will get the bottom inhibitor. Well,
you can see with the taunts that Anarchy have definitely put the Q in the rack this game. They've had enough. This Space spent this whole time, what, split pushing a couple of turrets maybe?
He's gotten 2 so far and an inhibitor. And now he gets a surrender. Well, that was abrupt. 25 minutes, Anarchy surrenders to CJ Entis. They fall to that 9K deficit. Nice attempt at a sneak Baron, but it is sniffed out when they couldn't see anybody defending the tier 2 in the bottom side. And that prompts CJ to immediately start pushing through with that True Shot Barrage. 2 impressive Runeblade games from Coco, but I think you got to give the MVP to Shy that game. He was definitely on point. I can't wait to see those highlights if he gets it.
Absolutely, it was the volleyball play with Mickey twice in a row that really railroaded what was an excellent laning phase for the Ahri. Took out the turret like she needed to. It felt like Anarchy had made the smart adjustments to really become a factor specifically.
To say. So Zed going to be the first ban, was banned on the red side by CJ in the last game, is almost always banned against Mickey.
Games like the last game really make me sad about the shift in meta, Monte Cristo. You know, I definitely like an Anarchy on other days to really atone from another game, you know, the get in there, everyone get in here kind of team. They're very good at playing around Mickey. They're really good at committing. You know,
they're the grim patrons of League of Legends right there. Just everybody piling into the mid lane.
Yep, and that deck's pretty strong in Hearthstone. And at the start of the season against teams like Najin, they were able to blow away opposition. But is the meta in a place like that?
You'd have to think that maybe they're just going to give the Runeblade Vez to Anarchy and play better around it. We know that Coco and Azir can really do a lot in the mid lane against that low wave clear and poke him out early. So COG seems to make more sense. They're going to get one or the other.
It does feel like CJ have taken on, you know, an image much like SKT in the past where they have a soul carry in the mid lane that really draws a lot of pressure. He's the person you need to shut down, and that usually opens up space awkwardly space for space to carry, or space to do damage, or to pick up a high damage champion like Kog'Maw and skip past the relative lack of backline threat in the current meta into these poor laning matchups. And in spite of everything, it was more on Anarchy not getting any pressure down onto Coco than Ambition creating the pressure. As you mentioned, Ambition awkwardly a little bit more of a hindrance than really a helper towards Coco getting it together. So gets another shot. Will he be able to cement a position in this team, or will we just see the Ambition trick revolving door until the gauntlet starts?
Big questions coming up, and CJ obviously using Ambition here, perhaps because it is a weaker Anarchy lineup while they try and groom Trick, but have to like Trick when he can get a win over SKT. That played on Yasuo and solo queue. So this says to me, hey, we want that Ezreal one more time.
Speaking of one more time, finally Madlife gets the respect ban onto Braum. Awkwardly, as you mentioned, it leaves Ezreal open. The question is, do CJ feel pressured to first pick it? Because Mickey, he played the AP Ezreal. He's a skilled player. You could see that being a pick for him, but it's, again, not one of the champions that gets in there. It's not a champion that Anarchy can really play against or necessarily show any aptitude in playing with.
That's true. And I think the Kog'Maw is better because guess what's open this game? Azir. And Mickey, not an Azir player, so
that when you have Mickey playing a champion like Victor, who that's just not what he does.
Well, he does play the TF, though, and that is going to be banned this time on the blue side by CJ.
What else does he play, Monte Cristo? I got one more ban left.
I got the Ahri. Just take out the Ahri. Just get it out of there.
Everyone get out of there when it comes to Mickey's picks.
Yeah, CJ. They could ban the Ezreal, too, but frankly, Mickey's Runeglaive Ezreal. Yasuo. Okay, so they want to pick Runeglaive Ez again, is what this says to me. Because we know that Anarchy, when they see an early Ezreal, when they played SK Telecom, they responded with a Yasuo. Mickey very confident in his abilities, has a million games